Just tired of the lies. You got to be tired of the lies. They're taking away busing is going to destroy home values. Who's going to buy a home here if you don't have transportation for your children? And who has two jobs? You either have to go to a charter school, a parochial school, cyber, right? Or they got to move to an area where busing so they can continue to have their jobs. And what does that do for the home values? This board's out of control. I filed paperwork to remove them for neglect. Let's take a look at this for a second. You'll understand why. But the hierarchy is simple. The buck stops with the board. That's it. 10 years we've been fighting this board and its lack of proper governance. But let's take a look at it and you'll see I think you'll see what I'm talking about. And it just becomes more and more evident. Remember, buck stops with the board. So first, we have Larry Stern making comments that he was never alerted we were running in a deficit. That's just a lie. Let's take a look at this.
Joy Beers says she has also been blocked from viewing financial records.
So here you have this district released document. I'm going to show it to you again. This is a district released document, right? Take a look at it. And here you go. Operating at it, this is revenue below their expenditures. Year after year after year after year. They were planning on this. We're trying to stop this inappropriate behavior. And we were trying to look at the documents, and let's see what happened to Joy as well. Give me a second.
Viewing financial records.
As newly elected treasurer, I requested to see certain checks, and the administration provided not reasons but excuses for not providing them.
So let's take a look at why. First of all, right? Let's take a look at Pennsylvania School Code. Right? Pull it up. Go to number 601. Find 601. Here we go. It says, very specifically, information to incoming directors, right? The board of school directors of every school district shall annually, through its proper officers, superintendent, business manager, furnish to the incoming board of school directors all necessary information and such detailed statements as to be needed to provide for an annual tax levy and prepare the annual estimate of expenditures. Then you go down here and it says under 687, the board of school directors of each school district, right, at least 30 days prior to the adoption of the annual budget, prepare a proposed budget of the amount of funds that will be required. The board prepares this document. We do, right? Not the fox in the hen house. The board prepares the budget, or at least was supposed to. You're being blocked by mismanagement, malfeasance, misfeasance, and neglect. Okay? It's a mess, in my opinion, of course. Take a look at this. Budgeted funds should not be used for any other purpose or exceeded. Now let's go back to Larry's statement. And remember, let's see if I can pull this up for a second. Here's the org chart. Board, solicitor, superintendent. We run the show. The board, actually, the stakeholders control and elect a board to oversee this subordinate. Public servant, subordinate, responsible parties. Okay, very quickly. Budgeted funds should not be used for other purposes or exceeded. And let's go back to Larry's. Tired of the lies yet? I am. Let's take a peek at the budget just for a second. So the budget process is you have your last year's actual budget and what was used. Then they do a preliminary budget in January. Then they do one in May as they try to dial in the numbers, right? And then you have a final in June. Right? Let's take a look at this. So in last year, we used $17 million to run the school district. $17 million. In June, they still used 18 million, right? This is 18-19. They used 17 million. Then they used 18 at the final, right? Then in January, they said they wanted to have 18.9 and then $19 million. They finally came down a little bit. This right here, this $19 million is how they pulled information and said, we're going to spend it. I mean, basically, this is a filed document. This document's filed, signed for by Larry. He wants to spend $19 million. Why does he want to spend $19 million? Because he can? Because you're going to let him? Right? He's got to cut all this other stuff. You should see what they cut. It's a mess. Right? They were looking at $1 million hike in instructional staff expenses. Right? Doesn't make sense. Now, let's take a look at what this looks like. One second here. This is what the staff looks like, right? So you got certain employees, professionals. If a person's making, let's just pick this one, $80,000, total cost to the district, $147,000. Right? This is their employee benefits. This is their pension. Okay? Salary, employee benefits, pension. So when you look at the budget, when you have $8 million in salary and $7.9 million in employee benefits, that's why I'm saying that if you use a commensurate amount of benefits, this is not part of our contract specifically. Everything's negotiable. The contract's not due until the end of next month. Any reasonable union association would respectfully submit that we want students in the classroom so we can teach them. Transportation's needed. No idea what they're doing.